Welcome to another episode of Knife Chats with Tobias, almost live, where the video has been pre-recorded, but I am here to join you in the live chat session during the premiere. So sit back, relax, and get ready to chat about knives. So here we are. It's another episode of Knife Chats almost live, and I got a bunch of junk here on the workbench that I want to get off the workbench. Some of them may return in the near future with an actual review, but in the meantime, I'm just going to kind of ramble on here and talk about different things for different reasons. One thing you're not seeing here is right there. See that label? Shipped from Frost Cutlery, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I actually got something from Frost Cutlery. This is the third or fourth time I have ordered something from Cutlery Corner Network in the last 5 or 6 years. And finally, I can say I have mixed reviews on Cutlery Corner Network. And that's basically because finally they did not just totally screw up the order and disappoint me. Finally, they actually sent me the knife that I requested, and I don't have to call them and say, hey, could you at least send me the correct knife? That's right. This is the fourth time I've used them in about 6 years, and this is the first time they actually sent me the knife that I actually bought, and I did not have to call them and get the right thing sent to me. We'll show that knife in a little bit. In the meantime, I want to show you another knife I got, not from Cutlery Corner Network, but it is a Hen Rooster knife. It says so right here. Let's get the box there. See that? Hen Rooster, world's finest since 1845, made in Germany. And this is the knife that I got. It's a little Coke bottle pocket knife, or a swell center pocket knife. And got it because it's got genuine stag handles, and they don't look too bad, even though they are kind of lumpy bumpy and everything, but that's kind of what you expect. This is not India sandbar stag. This is what's called European deer stag, and it's not really that bad. I do actually like the European deer stag. It was interesting. I was just listening to Todd Boone on the Cutlery Corner Network talking about the European deer stag coming from the Black Forest, but then he's saying, and almost in the same breath, that it was that Jim Frost bought it from a place in Poland. Last I remember, the Black Forest is in Germany. Anyway. I don't know. Maybe they had a bunch of Black Forest deer in Poland. I really don't know how it got around to that. I'm going to take the word for it that it's sourced European deer stag. I know that much, and I'm betting it did come out of Poland instead of Germany. I don't know. In any case, the knife itself, a nice little clip blade and a secondary blade that is a pin blade. And it's Hen Rooster. These are the premier knives in the Jim Frost lineup of knives owned by Jim Frost. The Hen Rooster knives. I mean, they are called the world's finest cutlery since 1845, and as the box says, made in Germany. And all in all, I guess the knife is not bad. The tension on the blades isn't bad. There is no movement on it or anything. The steel on the blades, if you can see right there, I think, well, you got the Hen Rooster there. Somewhere on there it just says German stainless steel handmade. And that's all it really has for the steel. And from what I understand, again, from what Todd Boone said, the German stainless steel in these knives is 4116. 4116 stainless steel, which is used in a lot of kitchen cutlery and is said to be Depending on the source that you look at, they say that the steel 4116 is an equivalent steel to either 440A or 440C, depending on the heat tempering in there. All in all, not the world's worst looking knife. However, one thing about this knife kind of aggravated me when I started looking at it, and that is the swell on the top here. Let's see if we can get something here. This is almost live, so I'm not going to be doing a lot of editing, but let's take this here. Notice the line there where the bump is. Does that look straight across to you? That is definitely going at an angle, and this is supposed to be the world's finest cutlery since 1845, coming out of Germany. Why in the world is the swell across there so crooked, considering the swell across the bottom kind of slants in the opposite direction, which kind of annoys me. I mean, I like the stag. I like that the blades have no wobble. They got a good movement in it, but that swell not being straight across there is kind of annoying. And not going straight across here is also kind of annoying. Look, here's the pin on this side, and you see where the swell is. Here's the pin on this side, and you see where the swell is. It goes, you think they could have got it straight across with the pin, but no. It starts on one side north of the pin and ends on the other side south of the pin. And on here, it just goes north. It just swoosh. So that part annoys me like no end. And this is supposedly made in Germany, so they say. But here is my Rough Ryder swell center. Now, the difference also with the Rough Ryder one here is it's smoother. It's just rounded. It doesn't have as clean of a line going there. But you can watch the light go across it, and you see that it is even. The bump is even, and you can feel it when you run your hand over it. The bump is even. The bump is not as pronounced on this one, but again, it is even with the light playing across it. So the bump is there ever so slightly, and it's even. And that kind of bothered me when I saw the Hen Rooster little Coke bottle. Why couldn't they have got the bump straight? Other than that, it's not a bad knife, but my impression basically of Hen Rooster knives is basically it's basically an overpriced steel warrior. At least this one came about that way. We'll be talking about another Hen Rooster that I recently picked up in a minute. Also, here's another one of my Rough Ryder ones. And once again, you see it's even and consistent. The bumps are much better off. So Rough Ryder did a better job. Rough Ryder, a China company, did a better job getting these swell centers at least swelling correctly than Hen Rooster did. So let's move on to another knife in the collection here that I wanted to talk about. Okay, I mentioned this already. This video is already up, I know that, and that is the Queen City Abalone mini canoe. And in that mini canoe video, I mentioned that I was also going to pick up the little cub knife, and here it is. The mini, well, in Rough Ryder world, it's called a Cub Lockback. They just called it a small lockback or a mini lockback in the Queen City lineup. And I tell you what, once again, that Abalone looks just fantastic on the knife. I am really, really impressed with just how good that Abalone looks. Now, one of the things that you'll notice when you get this is you can feel some lumps in here and everything. From what I understand, there is a resin coating over the abalone. Someone was worried that the abalone might chip or something, but according to what they said, there is an actual resin coating over the abalone, but it is a much thinner resin coating than what you have in other things. So that's probably why you are feeling little spots where it's bumpy and everything. I'm hoping that's the case at least. In any case, it really does look nice. For instance, I feel something right there, but I have a feeling that's just the resin coating. Definitely can't chip anything off or anything. You could probably polish it down a little bit and smooth it out. And here we have it. The blade is actually easier to open than on the little Rough Ryder ones. Some of the Rough Ryder ones are very tight, and the blade is very hard to open. But this one, the blade opens and closes better than it does on the Rough Ryders. Otherwise, it is just like a Rough Ryder knife. This particular one that I have, though, I don't think you can see it very well, but you can actually, yeah, you can kind of see it right there. That is a little proud right there, and actually, you can actually catch your finger on that little spot where it's just slightly proud. So the back spring right at the end, the very tip of it is proud. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get something in there and grind it down a bit or not, but that's all that really would need to be done. I'm not too concerned about it. I do not want to scratch up the abalone or scratch up the spring. I can live with the fact that it is just up a little bit, and hopefully it'll work its way down. But there it is. Am I going to get more in the Queen City Abalone series? Probably not. I know a lot of people are grabbing the canoe, and the canoe is like $5 more than either of these. That goes in at $30. These are $24.95 each. If I am going to get another one, it probably would be the canoe, but I'm not really interested in the peanut, the little toothpick, and I definitely don't want the lady's leg knife. And that's one of the things that is stopping me from actually grabbing the canoe, because I'm afraid if I get 3 of them, I'm going to decide why not go ahead and get the whole set. And I would hate to, I just really don't want to waste any more money buying another lady's leg knife just to have the whole set. If they had something other than the lady's leg knife as a 6th knife, then I might be more interested in it. But the other 3 knives, they're just, I don't know. These 2 were the ones that really spoke to me, so those are the 2 I grabbed. And I really do like the way that abalone shines in both of these knives. The abalone in these is really amazing. You really got to see it in person to appreciate it. In any case, let me move on to something else, and enough about Queen City. Will I be talking about this one more later? Probably not. I went extensively into this one, so I don't think I need to spend more time going through this one in a later video. But if you want to hear more about it or want to see it again, let me know in the comments, and I'll think about doing it. I think this one was beaten to death by a lot of people. This knife really threw me for a loop. Not so much the knife itself, but the box that it came in. And this is the what do they call it? The Upswept Bow Trapper. This is Andy Armstrong's design. The Upswept Bow Trapper with the black micarta handles, the red liners, brass liners, back spring, and brushed stainless steel bolsters. I think that's a nickel silver shield, and it looks like nickel silver pins, but it might be brass pins. And then the upswept blade with the wonderful saber grind going on. Now, there was debate going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. T10 440A, T10 440A, T10 440A. Well, they finally came out and said, yes, it is actually for sure 440A. It was supposed to be T10, but they did not go through with that specification. So the original specification was for this to be a T10 carbon steel blade, but somewhere in the production line it got switched to 440A, and it is 440A. And that is why it is not going to patina. Now, I had talked about the fact that T10 has titanium. It's a carbon steel with some titanium alloy in there, and I thought that that would make it a little harder to patina, but apparently it doesn't make it so hard to patina that it will not take a patina. It might be a little harder than just a plain carbon steel, but it will patina T10, but this one is not going to because it's 440A. So that is one thing we need to point out. All in all, this knife has been reviewed by many people. There's not much else I can say about it. I've only got one. If it comes out in another handle material, I may or may not pick it up. I know a lot of people are crazy about it, and it's really got some nice lines to it, and I think it would make a really good like bird and trout knife. I could definitely see this as something useful for skinning a bird or skinning a or gutting a fish or so. I mean, well, let's face it. Let's take a look at something else here. So there's my Brian Wilhoite's skinner, and there's the Upswept Bow Trapper. One's a fixed blade, the other one is a folder, but tell me they do not bear a striking resemblance. You got that, you got that. Do they not look very similar? Even the handle shape. So yeah, I definitely think it would work very well as a skinning knife. And it's got enough blade for it, obviously, because your typical bird and trout knife only has about a 3-inch blade, and this has a 3-inch blade. Nice 4-inch handle, which is longer than what you have on a bird and trout knife, so you got that going for it too. So I think it'd make a great skinning knife for those folks out there who are interested in doing it. I haven't taken it out and tried to gut a fish with it or anything yet, but yeah, this is definitely something that would work well in a tackle box, I think. So that's my thoughts on it. A lot of other people have already talked about it to a great deal. If you want something more in depth, again, let me know and I'll talk to you and I'll see about it. Probably when they come back in stock or when they come up with a new production of it, a new knife handle material or something. I'd love to see that in white smooth bone. What really threw me, though, is the box, the fact that it's a red box, because I really thought that this red box was something that they were reserving for their modern folders. And so when the Upswept Bow Trapper showed up in a red box, it threw me for a loop. It's like, wait a minute, you've just ruined all my expectations of what the red box was for. So it goes. Let's move on to something else. Move the Wonder Knife back there for a moment. You saw these 3 boxes over here. Well, got them. I can tell you now, they're all the same thing. Right there, the new Denim work knife, the Denim Micarta work knife, number 1, number 2, and number 3. This is actually the one that I reviewed originally, so this review is up and running, but I've since managed to snag 2 more of them. They are now once again out of stock at SMKW. These 2 I purchased. These were bought with my own money, and quite frankly, I love the knife, but I also plan on giving away at least one of these, possibly 2. Don't know which ones yet. But the one right now that I like the most is based off of, is this the one? Yeah, I like this one the most, and I think it is the one that is the most centered. So unless I get another blue denim work knife that is in better that has better centering than this one. This is probably the one I'm keeping. This was the first one I ever received. It will probably be going into my into the giveaway pile along with this other one I have. So stay tuned. Eventually, these Rough Ryder Denim Micarta work knives are going to be going out to somebody else as a giveaway, and hopefully it will go to somebody who does not already own one. That's really what I want to do. I want to give these to somebody who doesn't have them. Oh, and speaking of which, as long as we're talking about Denim Micarta work knives, let's go back to the first black Micarta work. So now, my black Micarta work knife, if you remember, it had a really nasty gap going here. You can still see some of it, but before, you could actually see broad daylight through the gap. That's how wide it was. You can still see a little of it up there. Basically, what I did was I just put it in a vise and squeezed it together. Squeezing on either side of the... I had to pop this off again. That's why you see the little scratch there. I popped off the shackle that I put on there, and then I had to squeeze it on both sides like so, around the lanyard tube, because the lanyard tube actually, if you were to try and squeeze the lanyard tube, you're just going to be pressing into the lanyard tube. So I had to squeeze on either side of the lanyard tube, and then I closed that gap up quite a bit. So if you're seeing some gapping on the knife, try squeezing the handle together in a vise. I know you could also try and tap it down, but I find squeezing it a little bit better, and you have a little more control when you got it in a vise and you're squeezing it down. But remember, if you're doing that, don't squeeze it on the lanyard tube, because the lanyard tube, well, it's got a lot of strength to it, so it's not going to squeeze down, and it's not going to really squeeze your handle down either. But you could actually deform the lanyard tube or press it out, and it could actually cause more damage in something that cannot be fixed. So if you do have a gap, try squeezing the handle down, but not on any of the pins or on the lanyard tube. But now it's a whole lot better than it was before. So just thought I'd point that out, because I had mentioned very much how much that gap was there, but it is better now than it was. So I'll have to watch it and see if that gap reforms over time, which it could very well do. You know, with time and use, the gap might come back. I did not glue it or anything. I just squeezed it down into each side. So we'll see how that goes. I should pull this up front now too. I've had this for almost 2 weeks now, maybe longer, and I've been wanting to do something about it, but it's, you know, just another classic SD. This one is the SMKW exclusive for Halloween. This was designed by Brian Wilhoite. I've still got it in the pack. I'm going to take it out of the pack now so we can take a better look at it. And I'm going to use one of my favorite Rough Ryder knives, my 078. Let's see if we can get that poked in there. There we go. Come on. And now we can get a better look at that. And there we have it. It's basically pumpkins and spiders, or jack-o'-lanterns and a spider. And I really do like what he did there. And on the reverse side, Happy Halloween. It's, like I said, it was designed by Brian Wilhoite, and I think he did a great job with it. It's really just your basic classic SD. So you got those two blades, the file with the nail cleaner. I'm sorry, with the screwdriver tip. So it's a classic SD. Then the little pen blade, and then the pair of scissors over here. You notice that it came, what do you call it, clam packaged or whatever. So it's on a card, not a box. You got your gray tip tweezers and your toothpick on the other side there. And it's basically one of the Halloween designs by Brian Wilhoite. He's also got several case ones out there that I've got to take a look at. I was ready to pick up the what is it, the Sodbuster Junior, but I just did not grab it yet. Hopefully it is still in stock. I'm praying that it's still in stock. So this will be joining my other Victorinox Classic SDs, because as you know, I collect Classic SDs, and I didn't have a Halloween one, so I thought I would grab this one here real quick. Don't know if I'll be grabbing other Halloween ones or not. Speaking of Halloween, I should also break out something else. Now, last year, Smoky Mountain Knife Works did a Rough Ryder White Smooth Bone Barlow for Halloween, and it featured the Headless Horseman. And I saw it, I liked it, and I wanted it, and so I immediately put in a request for it and got the knife, and then it almost immediately went out of stock. And this is the knife I got right here. This is the first one I got. Notice there's 3 of them here. This is the first one I got, and it's a really nice knife, but in the literature it had this etch on it that said Happy Halloween. Well, I assumed that, well, that was what it showed in the prototype, but they didn't really put it on the blade or something. And then somebody complained on the SMKW Army site that theirs also did not have the etch, and Melina said, no, it's definitely supposed to have an etch on it. It's supposed to say Happy Halloween. And she said, get in touch with her. So I immediately also sent her a picture saying, look, mine doesn't have the etch either. And she said, okay, sorry, we'll get one out to you. And then more people started calling, and then Melina said, okay, look, everybody contact customer service. And I told Melina, okay, do you want me to call customer service or not? And she goes, no, we got you already, you're covered. And I said, okay, that's fine. And then a day or so later, I saw one pop up online, and it was a second one, and it was at the same price that, I mean, exactly the same price as SMKW. And it was $19.95, I think, is what they were charging for it. I can't know for sure, but I mean, it was the exact same price, including shipping and everything else. And so I contacted them and said, well, does it have the etch? And the person said, yes, it definitely has the etch. And so I went ahead and picked one up from that person, and it arrived 2 or 3 days later. In the meantime, I'm waiting to hear from Melina if about this one. Am I getting the replacement or not? And I actually told her, do you want me to send this one back? And she goes, no, you don't need to send it back. We'll just get another one out to you. And well, this one got replaced and everything, and I kept looking, and I sent a note saying, hey, they're out of stock online. Are you sure you're going to be able to send me the replacement? And she said, you don't have it already? I was like, no, I never received it. And I didn't, because this one I purchased this one off of a dealer on eBay. And the reason I did that is because I was waiting for a replacement one, and then I was going to go ahead and offer this one up as a giveaway, because you know, then I would have the one that's a mistake, no blade etch, and once I would have gotten the one from Smoky Mountain Knife Works with the correct etch, I would have a spare. I would have a spare one that had the correct blade etch, even though, as you notice, the blackening and the cape here is not as good as it should be. I was figuring, well, that'll be the one that I'll give away. And I was figuring, all right, I'll just go ahead and give this one away when this one shows up. And then about a few days after calling Melina and saying I still haven't gotten the one, she said, well, I'll find out what we can do. And then she got back to me a little bit later and said, Toby, I'm sorry, we don't have any more. The only one we have left, if you're interested in it, is the prototype. The one that we did as a prototype. It is not like the original, but it does have the blade etch. And you see it does have the blade etch there. But instead of just having the headless horseman that we picked for the knife, it has a different, it has two different scenes, the two scenes that we were thinking about getting. And if you notice, this one has the bottom all etched in, and you can see the horse's tail much cleaner on there and everything else. But on the other side, it has the horse's tail not as clean, and the bottom of the ground is not all colored in, which is the one that they went for. You notice the difference. They actually went for this design, but one of the thoughts was to have the bottom all covered in black also. And so I basically have the prototype, which shows both designs that they were going to have, that has the blade edge. I have the correct one that was supposed to be released that has the blade edge, and then I have one that doesn't have the blade edge. And because of that, and the fact that I do not have two with a blade edge, I feel compelled to keep all three of these. I know it's an awful thing, but if I ever do get rid of these, I'm going to get rid of them as a set. But chances are these are the kind of things that I will just go ahead and pass on to other people later, if you know what I mean, because it's just a cool set and it's got a great story to it. But some folks had noticed that I had more than one of these, and that's why I have more than one of these. And it's also why I'm not planning on giving any of these away, because each one of them is different and each one of them is special. And it also kind of this was basically the first edition of the Halloween knives by Rough Ryder, or the first homegrown, in-house produced Halloween knives out of Smoky Mountain Knife Works. So that's why these knives are staying in my collection. Let's move on to something else. And I will take these out of the way so you don't have to continue to look at them and go, you should give one of those away. And in the meantime, I will show you this other white smooth bone knife I have that is a Rough Ryder also, that was done by somebody else, and they put a little coal miner shield into the Barlow, which was kind of cool. There is nothing else on this, no blade edges or anything, but really nice little white smooth bone knife. And another thing that you could think about doing with white smooth bone knives, other than dyeing it, is you know, at least with this Barlow, you can add a nice shield down here. But still, really, all you need on a Barlow is the embossing on the nice big bolster, and that's more than enough. But I did like this because, well, I come from a family of coal miners, so I like the coal miner shield. Let's move on now. A couple of you might have noticed this laying there, and this is a second RR078 Lockback knife. That's right, I now have two of them. And that was a stunner for me, and I never thought I would see another one of these knives, the RR078. This knife came out around 2000, and it is really one of my favorite Rough Ryder designs. Notice I've added a little shackle here, or a little clevis on the end here. It really just comes like so, with a lanyard tube, and it's just got that really cool looking blade on it. Fantastic lines. I never thought I would see another one. I was looking for them forever, but I actually stumbled on one on eBay, and the guy did not have the number listed, the 078, mainly because it doesn't say anywhere on here 078 or anything. But it's one of my favorite Rough Ryder knives, and when I saw it, it's like, man, I got to go ahead and grab that one. And I was the only person who made a bid on it, which was really good for me, because otherwise, if someone else had noticed it and started bidding on it, I might have lost some money on it. Well, I know I would have lost some money on it. I put in a ridiculously high bid on this thing because that's how much I really wanted it. kind of reminds me of like the Moki pocket knives or the Moki lockbacks out of Japan. The shape of it and everything else very much like a Moki. Well, it's just really, really fun to have two of them now, because now I do have, I used to carry this one all the time, and I will probably continue to carry this one. As you can tell, this pin is kind of sunken, so this one does not have nearly the fit and finish that this one does. This one is so much smoother, much nicer, and the bone looks about the, I'm sorry, bone, the burl wood also looks nicer on the one that I recently picked up. So this is the one that is going to be held in reserve, so to speak, despite having a little bit of gap up there. So the finish is not as good up here, but the burl wood looks better and the handle is pinned much better on this one. And just a terrific knife. As you can tell, I really, really do like this one. And now this one I will start carrying a little more often. So if I don't have a toothpick in my pocket, I will probably have this knife in my pocket, because this is you just don't see it. This is a knife that I really, really, really wish Rough Ryder would come back out with and release again. This knife, to me, bar none, is one of their cooler designs that they made. It was a one and done kind of thing. You don't see it anymore, and so I guess I've talked longer about it, but I know so many people rave about the work knife. This one, not so much a work knife, but talk about a nice little gentleman's carry. This is it. This knife is just so much and it's got a nice modern lines to it and everything else. They obviously did not need to put a thumb clip on there, or a nail nick. You can definitely just pinch it open. But man, just a beautiful knife, beautiful lines, and sharp and pointy as can be. So happy that I was able to snag a second one. And I guess everyone out there has a knife that they wish they had more of. This is one of those knives that I wish I had more of. And this is also a knife that I wish I had about 3 or 4 more of these, because if I did, then I could actually give these away to other people. I wish I would have bought so many more when I first saw these, because they were only like $8. Talk about a steal of a knife, $8. Anyway, let's move on to something else before I go on and on forever on a knife that once again, you really just can't get anywhere anymore. Well, a while ago I was Breaking Bad on Hen Rooster. Remember, that was basically where I started off. Breaking Bad on Hen Rooster, and saying that it's basically a steel warrior made in Germany. Well, this Hen Rooster is the one that I just recently got. I mean, really recently got, as in this is the top of the box. I just got it today. Well, I got it the day that I'm actually videotaping all this stuff. And here's the box for it. Obviously a little bit bigger of a box, and an interesting quandary going on here, because nowhere on this box or on the knife does it say anything about where this knife was made. And so I don't know if this knife was made in Germany, if it was made in Pakistan, if it was made in China, or anything. Or it could have been made in Spain for all I know. What I do know is that the handle on this knife was put on in a factory in the United States. And that is because I finally broke down and decided I'm going to go ahead and pick up something that is a Frost collaboration with Michael Prater, and that's what I got here. It is and if you also have been paying any attention to the channel recently, you've noticed a lot of fixed blade videos popping up, and that's because I've been on a bird and trout fixed blade craze recently, and so I saw this one. Actually, I saw a different one on Cutlery Corner Network on the television show. That was the Michael Prater macaw, feather macaw knives. And it's like, well, that's kind of nice, but I'm not too crazy about it. But I thought, well, you know what, let's go on the website and see if they have something else. And so I did. And here's what I got. You can see the handle, and I tell you what, I am really amazed by the handle. This is the one that they call, I think, Emerald River. And if you notice all that sparkly stuff, apparently that is pearl dust. They dumped a bunch of pearl dust in with the Coralon. That's another question. People associate Coralon with Michael Prater, and Michael Prater is the one who uses Coralon all the time and everything. Well, if you check the trademark database, Coralon is actually trademarked to Jim Frost. So the name Coralon, it might be a Michael Prater product, but Coralon, the actual material, the name, is trademarked to Jim Frost. So I don't know how all that works, but there you have it. I mean, I really do love the way that looks. I love the gold sparkling and everything, and I also like the green and white in there. It's just some really fantastic color. The blade steel, you see here, 440 stainless steel, and then it has all the other information there, and then over here it just says C. Bertram Cutlery, and it has the Hen Rooster thing going on there, and then it's got Michael Prater's signature on the blade. So it's a Michael Prater knife. Thankfully, the does not have the Jim Frost signature on the back of the sheath. I guess that's not a bad problem though. C. Bertram Cutlery again with the Hen Rooster there. Nice little black sheath. I'm not crazy about black sheaths most of the time, but this one kind of looks good with the brown handle. And it is a pretty stiff sheath. I'm hoping that the sheath is not as crappy as the leather sheath that that I talked about with my Brian Wilhoite knife. I don't think it is. I don't feel any kind of like sappy glue sticking in there that's going to screw up the knife. The knife actually came in the box like this, and no plastic bag, no nothing. The knife stuck in the sheath and in the box like so, and closed up. That's the way they shipped it to me. Not that big of a deal to me. One of the things also that came with it is this right here, a little Cutlery Corner catalog for late summer fall edition. It's only a 16-page catalog, but this is something that I have been pushing for Smoky Mountain Knife Works to do forever, to include a catalog in with a knife purchase. You know, you buy an order or you buy some knives, why not include a catalog? I was also talking about the same thing with their care packages. Throw a catalog into the care package, you know, but no, they won't do it. But they say just sign up for it. Well, how many times have you signed up for that catalog and never seen the catalog? For me, it's about 100 times. I don't know. I always sign up for the SMKW catalog, but I never get it. So I've given up on getting it. And yes, I know I can look at it online, but you know, I don't want to look at it online when I'm in the bathroom or when I'm on the bus or when I'm at work or something. When I'm away from my phone, when I'm away from the computer, I like to look at a catalog. Bud K, they send a catalog with your orders. Kennesaw Cutlery, they send catalogs with your orders sometimes. But Smoky Mountain Knife Works just won't include a catalog. Anyway, sorry, I just went off on a rant over something that is totally not important. One of the things I did notice about the knife is that it is not pinned. I wish the handles were pinned, but maybe they are underneath. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely like it. I'll talk more about this one in the future, but I bought it mainly because, well, I wanted to give Cutlery Corner Network one more chance to see if they could screw up an order. Like I said, they did not screw up this order. And I also, like I said, I was on a bird and trout knife kick, and this knife falls nicely into the bird and trout knife family. And I definitely like the Michael Prater handles. Ooh, almost cut myself too. It's 448 stainless. And what I might do now is pick up another one of these knives, but not in the Michael Prater lineup, just in the regular Hen Rooster lineup, and get it maybe in the Stag, and have one that I can actually use, because this one definitely is one for more for show than anything else. But definitely might cut up a few steaks with it or something. Can you imagine pulling that out and cutting up a steak? Yeah, man. That is one pretty steak knife, or one pretty tomato knife too. So, and yeah, I tell you, really pretty. Anyway, I will definitely revisit this knife later, but I thought I would break it out and show it to you before I go on to some other things that are definitely not as pretty as this one is. Okay, it's been in the middle of the screen this whole time. I know you all have just been dying to see the Wonder Knife. Look at that box. Is that not just awesome? Swiss Army type all-purpose Wonder Knife. Oops. Wonder Knife. Reminds me of Wonder Bread. Remember the old Wonder Bread, and there people used to say, yeah, it's a wonder it's bread, when considering all the additives and everything. As you can see here, made in China, the Wonder Knife. It's a Swiss Army knockoff. I saw it and it's like, man, I gotta buy it simply because of the box. The Wonder Knife. On the bright side, I will tell you now, the Wonder Knife cost me, or put me back, an entire $2. And I bought it for the box because it's a Wonder Knife. It's everything you expect from a Wonder Knife. S for Superman, probably. You got your Phillips driver. I think this is the one they call the hole punch. I think this is the hole puncher. Don't know for sure. I guess it's the hole puncher though. And then we have next to the hole puncher. Oh, I can't open it because this one is in the way, so I've got to lift that one up to get this one up. Don't you love it when you have to do that? But there's the nail file with the little nail cleaner, or yeah, the cleaner portion. But you can't get it open when the hole punch is down. Ooh. Okay, that one I can open from the other side, I guess. Hey, it's as close to live as possible. So here's the corkscrew, and then I don't know what this thing is. Maybe this is the hole punch, and the other thing was the sewing eye or something. I don't know. That's all the back tools. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back tools. And then your typical can opener, and then the cap lifter screwdriver, and the funky scissors. I've said this many times on these videos. Anytime you see a pair of scissors that have this bump on them, just do not, seriously folks, I know I've got it here. I bought it, and there's no doubt about it. I bought it. You see it here. But I'm telling you now, if you see the knife and it's got this bump in it, you are talking about a really, 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 really crappy knife. That bump tells you right away. You see the bump, don't buy the knife. I bought it to let you know, if you see the bump, don't buy the knife. It's going to be a crappy knife. There's the fish degorger, or hook remover, and that's the fish scaler. Interesting that they did not bother to put another cap lifter into the hook remover or the fish scaler here. Now, if they would have put a second cap lifter and the fish scaling blade, then it would truly be a wonder knife. And then you've got the saw, and maybe that saw will work. It does look like a double row of teeth on the saw. You know what? Let me go grab a piece of wood and see if the saw actually cuts. Okay, I don't want to get a bunch of sawdust all over my nice little new Michael Prater knife. It's not going to cut as well as, ooh, look at that. Tweezers were coming out. It's not going to cut as well as a Swiss Army knife, I don't think, but I'm going to try a little bit off screen and see how it does, and I'll tell you. Okay, here were the results. This cut here was done with 17 passes of the saw on the Wonder Knife, so it will definitely cut wood. 17 passes, and we got in that far into the blade. 17 passes with the Wonder Knife. Now this was done 17 passes with a Victorinox camper, and you will hear me say many a times that the wood saw on a Victorinox knife is probably the best wood saw you will ever find on a pocket knife. And 17 passes with the Victorinox camper, 17 passes with the wood saw. Obviously, it'll cut, but not nearly as good as you will on a Victorinox. And of course, finally, you have all the way in the back here, the famous Swiss Army-like butter knife blade. Yeah, that's about what they are. It's got a little bit of an edge on it, but it doesn't last very long. And yeah, stainless china. I believe these are 420 or so. And popped out before real easy. We also have these tweezers that a good way to make sure these tweezers, ooh, what is that? I don't know what that is. A little silvery spot there, like they spilled some paint or something. Anyway, a good way to make sure these tweezers stay in is because once you pull them out a couple times, the tweezers get relaxed and get pressed together. So a way to make sure your tweezers stay inside these Swiss Army knockoff knives, the real cheap ones out of China, is to take and bend the tweezers like so that when you put them in there, they kind of stay in there. Otherwise, they'll fall out and you lose them all the time. But yeah, there you have it, the Wonder Knife. Yeah, it's definitely a junk knife, and like I said, I bought it because of the box. And the knife stays out and is displayed because of the box. The Swiss Army type all-purpose Wonder Knife. Who wouldn't want a Wonder Knife? Just about anyone who's ever had a Wonder Knife probably doesn't want a Wonder Knife. Okay, what else do we got here? We covered these already. We're down to the nitty-gritty right there. And we'll go right here for this one. I will probably do another video on this in the future. This is not the HighPlains toothpick, but the Barlow. I might have mentioned this before, I don't know. But I will do an actual review of the HighPlains 5-inch Barlow. I just thought I would show it real quick, and really does look nice. I actually like the bone on the Barlow more than I do on the toothpick. The good thing I do like about both of them, though, is the lack of a shield. I do wish this did not have the big R on the bolster. I wish it had the horseshoe. But otherwise, it's your typical Rough Ryder Big Daddy Barlow. I'll talk more about it in a future video, though. But I did go ahead and pick that one up. Those are probably the only knives that I will end up getting in the HighPlains series, is the Barlow and the large toothpick. And I have picked up multiples of the large toothpicks because they will be getting used in future giveaways. I like large toothpicks. I'm trying to get other people to like them as well. And that gets us down to the nitty-gritty here of 3 knives left, and 2 of them, as you can see, look very much the same. Why would that be? Okay, let's clean this up a bit and get rid of the chunk of wood. Break out the Hen Rooster box maybe, and put this knife up on top there. I wonder. Yeah, I'll put that one there because I like that one. Still want those showing. And let's break out this eye candy too and leave it there somehow. Well, that'll work. I need that little box. I don't like that one. Okay, let's move back into what we're doing. Oh yeah, and get this out here too. Let's set you over here and put you behind it. Yeah, some eye candy while we talk about these last three knives. I think I'm going to do this one now, and then I'll do these last two at the very end. I really do want to do a video on this one in the near future, but I need to really just find out more information on it. As you can tell from the thing here, it is a Picnic Pal. These are by Colonial, and what it features is a one of those combination cap lifter and bottle opener. I'm sorry, cap lifter and can opener. And then the middle blade here is just your Spear Master blade. These are all obviously carbon steel. These knives were made back in the 50s and 60s, I believe. I just don't know for sure. And then finally, the last blade here is a fork, if I can ever get it out. Just a flat fork, 3 prongs. And the cool thing about these knives is they are a take-apart knife. So you have your fork, your little knife blade, and your can opener and your cap lifter. So you can open your bottles of beer or pop or whatever you have for the children, and any kind of cans of beanie weenies and everything else. And then you have your knife and fork here so that you can eat your food, cut it up, and everything else. So it's a pretty cool little thing. I really just need to find out more information about these before I actually do a complete video on it. But this is a Colonial Picnic Pal. I've been looking to get one forever, and I finally got one at a very, very low price. I wonder if you can put it together backwards. No, you cannot. It doesn't seem to be able to, at least. Nope, you definitely can't. So you cannot put it together wrong. The problem with them, though, is you can take them apart with the blades open or closed, and it would be nice if the blades would lock in place. So you often find these missing a blade, one side or the other. But in any case, that's my Colonial Picnic Pal. I've been looking to pick one up for a long time, and I finally got one. Let's move on to the last knives in this episode of Knife Chats Almost Live, and it's these, which are 2 Case Canoes in Pocket Worn Harvest Orange. Now, before I tell you about these 2 Case Canoes, what's this doing in my hand? I want to talk to you a little bit about this one here. This is the very first canoe I bought from Case, and it's really nice. It's got chrome vanadium steel blades, CV steel blades. You see the Native American paddling as canoe on the main blade. Really just a terrific knife. And you see here the pattern number, USA 62131, same as these, but you see this one says CV down below, as opposed to SS for stainless steel. And as it's CV, that means these blades, where all you see those fingerprints, if I don't wipe them off, they're going to rust. But that's not what I wanted to tell you about. When I first got this canoe, I bought it on Amazon, and the pen blade, when I would go to close the pen blade, no, it wasn't when I went to close the pen blade. It was when I went to close the main blade. The main blade would actually catch on the pen blade, and stop from falling. And sometimes it actually end up on the back side of the pin blade because the pin blade was so loose. And what's that called? Something about blade cross or something like that. But that's how screwed up it was. And I always knew that canoes, sometimes you would get some blade rub, but blades crossing was a different story. So I actually had to send this back to Case, and they fixed it, which is great, except it cost me $7 to send it back to Case so that they could fix their mistake. And if you remember, I recently talked about a Case butterbean that was just horrible also. I mean, the scales were all or the handles were all messed up on it. The bone handles were too thin for the knife. This one is just wonderful. The fit and finish, everything is really great with it now that it's been repaired. And that was about 10 years ago. This is the last canoe I ever bought from them until I bought the butterbean, which is a mini canoe. And the mini canoe had an issue. And so I was kind of reluctant to go and pick up these two Case canoes, but they had a deal going and the price was right. And so I said, I'm going to buy those and I'm going to give one of them away. Also, I'll buy two of them because I like the Harvest Orange, and I really do. And as you can tell, the build on these is really fantastic again. They look great and everything. So I saw them in the box and I was like, wow, that's perfect. The handles are nice and tight. The pins are flush, nickel silver, everything is great on them. And then I went to open the knife and it's like, what the heck is going on here? And well, I've repaired it since, but basically there was an actual edge, a sharp edge running on both sides of the blade, like a burr. And I mean, you could actually, if you were to run your hand across it, it would have been like running your hand across the blade of the knife. You could actually cut yourself on this burr on both sides of the blade. And it wasn't on just the main blade, but it was also on the pin blades. And that was the first one I picked out. And it's like, oh, crap. How can this happen? This is the third canoe type knife I bought from Case, and every one of them has been screwed up. Well, what I ended up having to do is clean this up, and it took me about 2 weeks of taking an emery board and slowly going over this thing to get it down. I actually have, I shot 3 different videos on this knife. I'm not going to put them up because they all involved me taking the knife in the end and just throwing it down because I was so disgusted with it. And then this was the second one, and guess what? I got 2 knives, 2 Case canoe knives, both made in 2018, both in the Harvest Orange, and both of them had the same issues with the blades. And even after doing all the cleaning up and everything, there is still a minor issue with these knives because because of that, the grinding going on there. The edge, I guess, on those blades go all the way into the knife handle too. So I'd have to take the blades completely out, you know, take the knife completely apart and file down that edge all the way down on the tang, all the way into the knife in order to fix it completely. But at least I've got it now to the point where you can feel the blades are grinding like a cheap Pakistani knife, but I believe it is rubbing down to the point where you can actually open and close the knives freely. And this required a lot of flushing the pivots with hot water, a lot of WD-40, a lot of re-oiling, and everything else. I'm serious. It took me 2 weeks to get these knives to open at a level of a respectable Pakistani knife. But the other option was to send them back to Case. I wasn't going to go back through the retailer again. The retailer who sold me the butterbean, I bought these knives from them too, and they are really a good retailer. They would have taken the knives back. I know they would have. They took the other one back. the butterbean. They took it back. That's why you're not seeing it on the table. And they did not have another one in stock to send me. Either that or the ones that were in stock were also screwed up. So they just refunded my money. And that's why I ended up picking up the 2 Case Canoes, because the amount of money that they refunded almost covered the price of these 2 Case Canoes, because these were on sale because of a case promotion they were running at the time. But I was just shocked to find the issues that were going on with it. But in any case, the reason I'm mentioning all that is because I still plan on giving one of these case knives away. And when I do that, I am going to let the person know, whoever is buying them, that the knife has pivot grind. I'm still working on cleaning it up a bit. I want to work a little bit more on the edges here. I can still feel a little bit on this one. This one is working well. This one, the main blade is doing pretty good, a little bit of pivot grind, but the secondary blade here, the small pin blade, I'm not sure where it's catching, but something is catching, so I'm going to grind this down a little bit more. And by grind it down, I'm actually talking about using an emery board. So this is like a 400 grit or a 600 grit sandpaper. It's nothing a whole lot of, and I'm just gently going across here, and to make sure that the burr isn't there. And I'm also making sure that I'm not running into the bolster, because I don't want to be scratching up the bolster, even though you would not really notice it there. And basically, this is what I've been doing with it to get it all off of there, and just getting rid of that little bit of a burr. And then it's a lot of flushing to get all the little metal grinding out of the pivot, and then lots of hot water to rinse out the pivots, a lot of WD-40 to get the water out of the pivots, and then re-oiling it and such. But this blade, despite all of that, is still grinding a little bit. I don't think that Case would notice what I have been doing to it. So once I do give this knife away, if the person feels that the pivots still need a little bit more TLC, I think they would be able to send the knife into Case, and Case could go ahead and repair it properly. But I just don't feel like doing that, especially for a knife that I plan on giving away. So that will be the caveat that I make when I give this knife away, is that you might want to send it in the Case to have the pivot grind taken care of. But I know what I've been doing is working, because on this knife, the main blade opens and closes real smoothly, and the pivot grind on this one is virtually gone. And I'm very happy with it. So I know what I've been working on is working. This is the one I will be keeping. The one I send out will be the one that might have a little pivot grind if I can't get it fixed within the next 2 or 3 days. But stay tuned. Eventually, I will be giving away this WR Case & Son Harvest Orange, I believe is what it is. Harvest Orange bone corncob jig canoe, in the pocket worn box, and everything will be going with it. So that is going to be a giveaway in the very near future, and I think I might try and do that even before Halloween, because come on, Harvest Orange, you know, it'll definitely go out before Thanksgiving. In any case, I will have a WR Case & Son canoe to be giving away. Yes, has a little bit of pivot grind, but the blades, despite that, remarkably tight. The finish is really beautiful, and yeah, both blades are nice and tight. So these are, they're probably not the last case knives I ever buy, but I tell you what, considering my luck with WR Case & Son canoes, unless I can actually pick it out in person, I am never going to buy another WR Case & Son canoe. I just have the worst luck with them. And that goes for the butterbean. So hopefully I will be able to eventually find a butterbean in person, because I do want a Case butterbean. But the way my luck has been going with WR Case & Son canoes, I'm not going to be buying any more online. I have to buy them in person. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this. I think the of the knives that I showed tonight, my favorite, obviously, is this one here. I was very happy to get another one of these Moki-like Rough Ryder 078 Lockbacks, because now I have one that I can definitely carry, and I have one for the display. I will be carrying the first one I bought, this one here, because I've already carried this before and used it for about a year, and I really do love carrying this knife. So it'll be nice to have this back in the pocket again. And I also have one for the display. And if I ever find another couple of these, I will definitely be giving one of them away. But they are very scarce and very hard to find. I was also very impressed with the Michael Prater Emerald River bird and trout knife. This knife is really going to look nice in my collection, and it'll also look nice cutting up steak and stuff. I can see doing that, because look at that. Is that not gorgeous? It really is gorgeous. It looks fantastic. Like I said, I'll also be doing a better video on this, a more complete review on this in the near future, because this knife deserves a video of its own. In case this... what the heck? I guess I've meandered long enough with all of this. I am going to cut it now, and I'll talk to you again soon. I hope you enjoyed this format of Knife Chats Almost Live. And I enjoyed talking with you in the chat section, or chatting with you in the chat section on the side. Thanks for joining me. Thanks again for dropping by here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I'm Tobias, and here's Kitty, the production staff. There is a real team working here to get all this stuff done. Could not get it done without Kitty's help. So don't forget to subscribe, ring that notification bell, give us a thumbs up, or that other one, but be warned, Kitty doesn't like that other one. Do you, Kitty? And don't forget to leave a comment. Kitty loves to read the comments. Thanks again. Talk to you again soon.